All right, guys. Well, today's class was more about fibs and how you guys can use them, right? I use fibs. I would say it's not my go-to tool, but I love fibs, right? I love it because my orb indicator uses fibs for targets. If you guys don't know, so if you guys have orbs with shorty targets, they're also there. Let me see, where is it? So under indicators, if you guys go here, all of the orbs that we use here are basically on the. I don't even know why it's not showing up.
Orbits with targets.
Yeah. Oh, there it goes. So if you guys look, these are actually fibs, right? Between the orb high, the 127, 1618, the 20, these are all fibs. And then of course we have some confluence points if you want to trade orbs, right? There's stuff like a trend bar, there's a VWAP, IBH, IBL. So we do have a couple of different things, but everything is around the fibs when I need extra level of support or resistance, uh, to find something. I definitely look at the fibs. So there's two ways to use the fibs. As we say, there's a bracketed market, like we were here for a little bit of time before Friday came. We had the bracket that was sitting here, and then brackets use different fibs. I would say different levels than you would use in trend. Does anyone want to take a guess when you would use what kind of fibs or levels would you use in the bracketed markets versus trending market?
50%.
That's correct. And in bracketed markets, you're relying more on 50%. And why do you guys think that?
PLC.
Most of the time, that's correct. Most of the time in the bracketed markets, you would have a D shape, right? If I was to draw an FVP from here, right? And this is all about creating that story and making a flow in your head, right? So if I was to go here, let's say you guys see that this one was skewed a little bit more to the upside, but it was a double distribution and a large node here right at 50%. And that was 83, and you guys probably remember that 84 level from last 2 weeks. 80 to 84 was a huge zone. Um, Usually bracketed markets you're using 50, and if you're using 50 as your entry, most people use 61.8 as a stop loss, right? So let's say we are looking for a long entry here, and you want to play the brackets, right? Based on fibs, right? So you would grab high to low, and you would see here, okay, well, there's a 50% shorting. Let's say in the bracket, as you guys know, if this is our bracket, you can have a trend inside the bracket, right? Depending on how big the bracket is, right? You can have a little trend inside the bracket and then it goes this way. So for us, right, you want to determine where do you want to go in. If you're buying the bottom bracket, right, then you want to be targeting the 50% fib as a first exit. If you reclaim that, right, then you can look for next set of targets. Or of course, in the brackets, you can use the top value area high or value area low as the initial targets, right? So drawing the fibs here, let's say that this was a 50 fib here and you bought the bottom. Let's say you bought the second bottom here, high or low. You can target this 50% as a first exit, right? And then if you wanted to know, for instance, when you grab the fibs from high to low, what are you looking? Meaning I'm looking at, let me give you a swing here that would actually make sense. Let's say I'm looking on dailies right here. I'm looking at this swing high to this swing low. If I'm grabbing the fibs from the high to the low, what am I looking for?
Support.
I'm looking for a rejection. Remember, from high to low, when you're grabbing from high to low, you're looking for rejection points.
Yeah, sorry, rejection.
Okay. Does that make sense to everyone? Because I'll add a little bit twist to it so you guys know how to use extensions. Everybody good so far?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And usually when you're looking something on the daily, right, you want to be aware of it on your intraday charges because that level might bring in some other time frame buyers as well. 1 second, guys. 1 second. Apologize. So using these fibs, for instance, I grab the high, right, to the low, and there's two swings in between, right? And then there's many ways to play this, right? You could have used extensions, you could have used a lot of stuff to figure out where it's gonna go to next. Some people combine stuff with fibs because fibs, usually there's a little bit of symmetry there. And I'm not sure who's familiar, but there's patterns like ABC, right, that are also based off of fibs. And I don't know if I think there's like this is also ABC pattern here, right? Have you guys heard of this before? I've used it before where, that this length here equals this length here. Have you guys ever done that or heard of it? So if I was to grab these fibs from here to here, usually this ABC, the length of this A equals the length, between here and here is the length that's equal to here and here. Does that make sense? So fibs, again, come into play. And I'm
Yeah.
not trying to teach you guys ABCs. I want to tell you the importance of fibs. Because if you know that a lot of people use fibs, how can that help you? Well, just like we know, when you guys hear me trading live, I'm expecting retail to show up here or retail to show up there. I also, if I know fibs and how other people might use it, then it would be valuable to know where they can bounce, right? And if you look here, for instance, this one bounced in 127 perfectly, right? But it should have gone to this level here to complete it, right? Complete the cycle. So when I trade, right, I look for impulsive moves on the fibs, right? And this happens on every time frame that you guys are looking, for instance, right? So if you look at this is a decent, I would say not as impulsive, but this is a nice swing low to swing high. So how would you find this support here on the fibs? I'll make this more interactive so I'm not the only one talking.
Draw it from high to low, from where you said you wanted to start to the high.
It would be low to high, right? You don't want high to low because I don't care for rejection. I'm looking for support. A lot of
my
people
fault.
that teach fibs, right? Uh, I'm not saying they're wrong, right? The fibs are basically inverses when you do this. If I was to draw the high to low here, what 61.8 here, where would be the 38.2 from the bottom? Well, it's simply math, right? If I was to enable this 38.2 here, guess where it's gonna be? Did you guys see the level become a little darker here? I don't know if you guys noticed it now. 61.8 plus 38.2, how much is it?
100.
100.
It's 100, right? It's just the level, right? In an uptrend, what you want to know about is what level do you want in a strong uptrend to bounce?
0.382.
382 you want in an uptrend. In a bear, like Vartes said, you want 50% and 61.8. 61.8 is considered, and it is the golden ratio. It's actually not only golden ratio because of trading, it's a golden ratio in your body as well. Right? I'm not going to go into that, the dimensions of your body. Some of you guys are too ugly to be symmetrical, but most people have a lot of symmetry in their body, like your elbow to your shoulder, between your foreheads, right, to your eyes. All of it literally reads to 618 and the 1618 inverses. So if you guys look here, what I did, I grabbed from low to the high of this swing and take a wild guess where we bounced. 4367 on the dot, right? For me personally, this is just something that I, traded with. If I'm trading fibs, I'm using Ashis, and I don't know why. If you guys know Ashis, they're more of momentum candles, right? And a couple of rules about Ashis is that when they open, where do they open?
Where the last candle closed.
They open up on the middle of the previous candle, always.
Uh,
They're always in the middle of the previous candle. So here, if you guys look, like this body here, and look where is this one opening. If you look at this candle here, look where is this one opening. It's always at the half of the body of that candle. See that? It doesn't matter what, it always is half. Okay. So for me, if you're going to be trading fibs or using it as a, as a support, additional support or resistance, probably not a bad idea just to look at them both ways. Sometimes wicks are wicks is, the wicks that show up on a candle with ashis and the other way, it might be a little bit different. Like most of the time they're not, but they can be. If you look here, we're probably going to gain the same level here on the bounce, and there's the 61.8. I'm going to ask you guys a question now. If I wanted to know this move here, I found the support, right? 61.8 is where, maybe you buy it at 50 and below 61.8 is your resistance. I'm sorry, stop loss. Would that make sense to everyone? If I'm going long here, right? How do I know where's it going based off the fibs? I know this is my stop loss. Okay, how do I know where?
You can use extensions.
Okay, if I use extensions, there's two ways to do it. Do not get confused. This is important you pay attention to and you're focused. Free, I'm talking to you. Okay. What we are measuring is this move from here to here. This right here. Well, I meant to highlight it. This right here. Everybody get it? This little line is what we are measuring. I want to know this line right here. I want to know the length, and then I want to know the ratios of this line, of this swing low to here. Where's it going to go to? There's two ways you can do it in TradingView. You can use Fibs, which is you go here, and Fib retracement. In this case, where do I grab if I want to know the extensions? From where do I grab? Low to high or high to low?
Low to high.
For extensions, you have to go high to low so you can know where is it going to go, right? So you have to do the opposite. That's using Fib retracements. Retracements were meant to be between what levels? They're used for what levels? Retracements.
The 0 to 100% of the move
Yeah.
you're grabbing.
Correct, because you can't go more than 100%, right? Extensions, on the other hand, are extending beyond that 100%. We want to know if we replicate this move, that would be 100%, correct? But we want to know where's the 127, where's the 127% from here to here. So from here to here, we want to now find this length plus another 27%. Does that make sense? And the best way I use them is using Fib extensions, right? So if you go here and you grab it here and you grab this, now watch. These are the Fib extensions that you can use. I grabbed the low, I came back and I grabbed this. Let's maybe pin them so they're correct. And then you find the extensions of this move. So now it's telling you that 127% of this line that we had is where?
4406.
4406. This is a big level right here. This is a huge level for it, right? Then you know the golden ratio for you to exit is 4460. It just happens to be a June POC, right? Also a good level, and you can see what happened as you arrived there. Do you think people took profits there? Yeah, they're telling you we're going to take some profits. They took profits here. They started, actually, they hit 16.5 right on the money, and they took some profits. They cracked and they proceeded, right? So when I look for extensions, I grab extensions is 3 points while Fibs is 2 points, okay? So if you're going to use just retracements, you have to go from high to low, okay? That's the targets that you're looking for. If you want to use Fib extensions, which I prefer on extension moves, is you grab that low to the previous pullback here, and from here, you're targeting the next set of levels. Does that make sense? Anyone confused? You're looking for impulsive moves. You're not looking to, I'm not going to fib this, guys. I will never fib this. I don't even know what's the point of fibbing between here and here. Like, obviously, it's not tradable range. Therefore, I don't care for it. But if you look on, let's say, 4 hours, if you look on 4 hours, this is a pretty good, swing low, swing high. So if we wanted to know where's a potential support, you would use Fib retracements from here. I'll grab this high here. And let's see, where's the 50% at 42.79, which happens to be, again, close to a level that we are aware of, 42.80. That would be a decent long, right, at the 50%. And people pay attention to the 50% in many different, variations of use cases. There's something called a premium and discounts above and below the 50. A lot of people use that. And some people actually in the portfolio management world and algorithms, they use 50% retracements as a key point for when stuff is above premium, below premium, and how they trade that. So 50% becomes really, really good. If you're buying 50, for instance, and this is a wide range, right? You're talking about, what is it, October 27 to, middle of November. If the price actually comes down here, can you treat this as a day trade?
No.
No.
No, this is more of a swing. Can your day trade work off of this level where you make enough money to close that trade? Yeah, of course. Right? But when you're trading on 4 hours, don't look to scalp it, right? The levels are a pretty wide range. You're talking about 79 to 42. That's 38 points on ES. And most of your guys' accounts probably will not be able to handle 38 points drawdown, unless you're the guy from Twitter that has, he can have a drawdown of 50 contracts on 40 points. Okay, does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
And if I'm looking for rejections, right? Let's like take a look at this, right? So we didn't really have an impulsive move, but this is a next step here. So if you see here from the October lows to the recent highs that we had here, I could do Fibs here and see where do we bounce, right? So we're bouncing at 38.2, kind of showing you what if they're bouncing at 38.2, what is that implying?
They want to go higher.
It's a strong uptrend for now for them, right? They didn't dip below. If they lost 50% of this move, then things change a little bit. Maybe they lose a little bit bearishness and they visit the bottom, but they defended it. So now hey, well, this level here is going to be also golden between the two levels that you see here. This is a pretty good level for long. If it comes down to here, there'll be buyers sitting here, and then in confluence with what we teach here, you would look for opportunity to see if there's any nodes to combine with those fibs. Does that make sense? If I have a 61.8 and a volume node together, that's a deadly combo in my world. That I take that trade 10 out of 10 times. Okay. And now if you guys look from the top, we just did the bottom to see the support. If I grab from the top, I'm sorry, all-time highs to the lows, look where we are now. I'm just going to delete these. I deleted the wrong one. We are, and GV taught me this. He's in our room. He uses 70.5. I've added it and it's been working great actually on rejections, and we are slightly above it, right? We are slightly above it, but this level is, does anyone know what is 44, like 23?
Oh, I remember 44.25 was like the top of that 4-month shelf,
Anyone else?
like September Val or something like that.
Yeah, is it September POC?
What about this candle here on the monthly right here? Let me see here. You guys see this level now here? 44, 30 and a half is what on the monthly? Why would I care about that level?
October high.
Yeah, that's our previous month high. So remember, we put in lower high, lower high, lower high. And now we're knocking on the doors and saying, hey, we want to stop the framing down and we want to make higher highs. And this would be, the November would be breaking of this trend and going higher highs. So how would you know what's the potential target on a bigger time frame of this trend if it reverses and breaks using Fibs? How would you guys draw this here? let's say on this same time frame, longer time frame.
I
How would
use
you-
the Fib retracement from that low of September up to the top of that.
Okay, anyone else? I showed you earlier, same concept. Just want to see how are we.
Am I wrong?
That's
I would
one way.
I would do the inverse. Inverse fib starting from what is that? August high, that top of the black candle down to October low, and then I'd have retracements going back up for where it could potentially reject.
Okay. What about if we take fib extensions from here to here and come back to this level and see what it projects in terms of next levels?
That's a good one.
So we have 61.8 that matches pretty much, I would say, all-time highs here, right? Which of course you should be aware of that level just because it's all-time highs. But then it becomes, what is this, 59 and 5,500. If this move was to replicate itself right here, these are the targets you're targeting here. These two numbers, 54.6 and 59.56. But this is not something I look for, to happen in a month. No, this can take quite a bit of time, right? This can take almost a year or more. Does that make sense? Because I'm on the monthlies. I'm not charting like 10-minute chart. This is a projection. And would I keep these? Yeah, of course. This can be your long-term targets, but it's the same concept that we had earlier when we were, I believe, on 10 minutes. When we were charting, where was it? No, maybe it was something smaller. Let me see, what were we on? I think it was here. We can try it, right? So from here to here and having the targets, and look, I grab from the lows to the high to the next low here and look at the targets that it came and gave us. Pretty much right on the money, right? So I'm looking to find a symmetry from here to here, starting at this low to repeat, right? And if I was to add, let's say add 200 here. Why would the 200 be important here? Anyone?
Where's the 200? The one 272?
Why would the 200 be important at all? It'd be two times this move, guys. Right? So if they crack the first 100, right? So the 127 is here. That means the 100% of this move is where? This move here is 29 points, correct? So the 200% of this is going to be like what, 50 points? That's why it's important, right? You're basically like we do IB, 2x, same concept in Fibs, right? You have 200%. Some people even use standard deviations for fibbing. We've done it before. I'll do it whenever the market's in a weird movements, right? And we had that happen last year where it's hard to predict the levels. And what they're doing, you can pull different tricks and sleep, out of your kind of weapon box. What can you use to figure out the levels, right? So always look for impulse move up. You're going to consolidate. Look for moves up. If you're trending up, you're looking for a bounce. You're using the bottom to the top and you're looking for retracements, right? On 38.2 bounce, you're looking to, continue and keep aggressive. If this cracks, most of the time they're coming back to 50%, and that's where you sit and wait. So impulse moves, you grab and you go from there. You grab low to high in a trending market. On a trending down market, for instance, that we had recently here. Let's do this one to here. If you guys grab this. And you see here, not much reaction, right? I would say between the candles here, because we had a bunch of gaps here and they just gapped over it and really not much was given. And now they're also in another gap here. So high to low, you're looking for on trend days down, you're looking high to low to look for the rejections. If you're entering 50, you have to use 61.8. My preference is to enter usually here. This is what I call golden zone here. I'm looking for rejection in this zone pretty much all the time. Okay.
On 5 minutes, Shorty, I fibbed from 322 on NQ from 322 to the top, and the rejection, it was a perfect rejection, like a pullback there at the golden pocket 618 682.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many ways to do it. I mean, here you have a nice move and a pullback here. You could use, fibs from there to there. If I wanted to fib this out, I could do this right here and I could fib that out and see they're coming in here and kind of having a little bit of a trouble.
Yeah.
You just have to understand where do you draw it from, and that's what I'm kind of trying to. Is anyone confused where you draw the fibs from? It's okay if you are. Maybe it's me.
Shorty, how do you determine a trending market? Like you wait for the first hour close and then draw the highs?
Yeah, a good question. So trending markets is not based on today's open or close. It's the structural. Are we making higher highs or lower lows, right? So if you go, let's say on 2 hours here, what do you see so far? Right here. Well, you have a higher high.
More highs and then lower lows.
Lower highs, lower highs.
Lower
And
highs.
now you're coming back to what? In my world, there's a change of character that's happening here. What is change of character? Is anyone that doesn't know?
A break of structure?
No. Change of character and break of structure is different, right? Break of structure is the continuation of a trend. Change of character is reversal of the trend.
Yeah.
So let me explain this. So here, I will just, actually, isn't there,
Draw it.
yeah, there's an indicator, zigzag. What is it called?
Yeah, I used to have it.
Ah, there it goes. So if you guys think about this, right?
Yeah.
You have a higher high, and then, on these minor moves in between, you have lower highs. But follow the, the line here, the blue labels, right? I would say, here you have a higher high, you made it, right? And then eventually you have some lower highs being formed on the purple, lower highs, and you're making lower highs. The last lower high that we're on is right here, which is at 44.23. So if you're able to crack this purple lower high, that means you're doing what? You're changing the character of this trend. Because here, you're making lower highs in my world, right? Lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, right? So you have, I would say, and excuse my writing here, my hand can't do this. And here you have a lower low, right?
Yeah.
You have a lower high, you have a lower low, lower high, lower low, right? And in between these, you're going to have, I call them the micro trends. You're going to have something like this, right? But if you break these major levels, that's the ones that I care for.
Yeah.
Okay. So a lot of people are excited that we had this crazy day on Friday, right? Thankfully, I was on the right side of it. It seemed like majority of you guys were right side of this move here. Yeah. But did we do anything structurally? We changed the micro movements and we made higher highs. Right? Because in between here, there was a little bit and we took that guy out. On the bigger macro level, did we change anything?
No.
Guys, nothing changed here. I'm showing you. Structurally, we are still in a trending down market. What you want to see, what do we want to see? Let me not answer all this shit.
Break of
Is this considered a break right here? Is this what I call change of character here?
No,
Nope.
it's just loved it.
There, almost.
In the PowerPoint, does anyone recall that there's a slide?
Yeah.
Because it's just the wick versus the full candle.
We need a full body candle, guys.
Full body candle to close.
And do we have a full body candle close about this yet?
No.
No, I'm not interested in swinging longs yet, right? Because we haven't changed character, right? And I like Ashi's because of the view that it gives me a clear picture of the lower highs. So if you guys look here, we haven't really changed anything yet. What we need to see, right? If you're trading this, right? What we need to see is something like this.
A higher high made.
We need this to be established. We need to go here and then come back. And then this is,
Yep.
this will validate that there's buyers and the acceptance of the value is being accepted. Then you have the value that was built in between here. You can target this range. Excuse my drawings. We can target this, right? But at the same time, remember those fibs that we drew on the monthlies?
Mm-hmm.
Those will not be bad targets if that starts happening, right? Because we know from here to here, now you're kind of in an ABC pattern. And if that's the case, bears might cry a little bit here. So if you go here and draw the fibs, if this breaks out, you're targeting some major levels all the way above, right? But this, like I said, this doesn't happen. Me and you would not catch this move if unless you're buying shares of something like I've, on the dips. If you buy individual stocks, they will run with the market, right? Just especially if the interest rates go back down to zero again. You saw this, spurge of spending in 2020. Everything went ballistic. I mean, for God's sake, we had, what was the UPST was a $400 stock. Like everything goes, right? They buy anything they can buy, and then they sell anything they can sell to the people that don't know what the fuck they're doing, right? So that's how it goes. Okay, does that make sense? The structure now, somebody asked, I believe it was Fred, was it you or who was it? Not sure if it was Fred or somebody asked, or was it Karthik? Well, anyways, does the structure make sense to most on the call now? Most of you guys should be aware of this by now.
Yes.
Yes.
So structurally, nothing really changed on the bigger picture. If you go on a daily here, what changed? This is what
Nothing yet.
this setup here that you're looking for, that I drew here. This is what you want to see, because when I draw this now, let's say I draw this from here to the bottom. Why would I assume the POC is there? I mean, look at how much time we spent here,
Yeah,
guys.
because most of
And
the
if you
volume's on
spend
the top.
time, and if you're congested there, what happens when we have value? Is there more trades in value or less trades in value?
More.
More. Therefore, I assume the POC is going to be a 45, 50. Well, I'm cheating. I know 45, 15, 45, 12 is there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, why did you know the POC was there?
Because I charted about 50 times past 3 weeks.
Oh, okay.
We talked about this level. We said if you crack 44.25, remember? We said most likely you're going to 45.12 because what happens here?
Gonna fly right through there.
I'm gonna fly right through it because it's a low volume node. Low volume node means, in terms of volume, it means there was not a lot of volume traded there. If you're to draw, I can't draw FVP on the custom range, but if you draw a TPO on using FVP, what would you expect TPO to show here?
Single
Probably
pigs.
probably
Single
not a
pin.
lot of TPOs lined up, right? The more TPOs lined up at a level, the more value at that level we had.
The more the price spent on there.
Exactly. The more time was priced at that level. When you talk about volume, it's volume at that level. So that's why some of you guys might be like confused, but time plus price, right? Plus volume is equaling to what?
Value.
It's always the value, right? And that's why I care for those things, because if I want to know where it's an unfair high, unfair low, I want to be aware of it. I want to know where these guys think that, the value is good for them. And if the value is good for them, I'll pay attention to it next time it comes. Okay. All right. So now that you understand the structures, right? Hopefully you guys understand it. Is there anyone that's confused on the change of character at least? So the change of character would happen here. This will be the change of character on a daily, right? We'll take change of character is here, okay? On a bullish change of character, okay? Where's the break of structure for this structure now that we had, right? So we had, we had this one, which was higher high. And then you had this one that was lower high, right? So where's the break of structure for this trend? This will tell me if you guys are following or not. Where's the break of structure here for the bearish trend?
Lower, the last lower low.
That is correct, yeah. Eric, I might have to ask you not to answer anymore. So now when you think about this, right, and I hate to constantly bring this back, but when I ask you guys to read the PowerPoints, not to read it, just to check off the item, break of structure is a continuation pattern. That means it would make a higher low. So you're breaking the structure and you're continuing down. In some cases, in a bullish trend, it's breaking the highs. In a bearish trend, it's breaking the lows. On a change of character is that you're stopping the current trend and looking for a new one. Does that make sense? So here we have a higher high, lower high, lower high, lower low. Now we're looking for a reversal. And the topic of this class was fibs. So why can I not do this? Grab the high to the low and do some fibs. Can I not do this?
Yeah.
This is a really good fib levels here. So if they can't build value above the 50%, where would you expect them to go?
Lower.
Be careful how you answer. It's a trap question.
Lower.
Okay, tell me
Below
where.
the lower low. Below the lower low.
No, the first level. Where are you expecting them to go?
Halfway of that.
I expect them to break structure first and then break character.
43.14. Halfway
No,
of that.
I want a number, guys. I'm asking you if they can't build value above this 50% here. Let's draw the fibs. If they can't build value above this and they go lower low, where would you expect this trend to bounce? Where would you guys, using fibs, how would I find where it bounces?
Retrace to 38.2.
312.
Anyone else? Yeah, I said it's a trap question, so
I'll take the
Use a
fib
fib retracement.
there you go. Thank you. Where would you retrace from?
From the lower high to the lower low to the recent move.
Yeah,
Yep.
I want to know this move, guys. That's what I'm explaining. This is the impulse move from low to high here. I want to measure this move so I know where we can find the
Okay.
50% and 38.2. So if I go here, the 50% sitting at about 80% right here. And then you have the 38.2 sitting somewhere around here, which is 43.20. I personally know how big this level is, right? And I remember 43.15. So I'm aware of this range of the level. So the retracement would tell you that you can retrace if it's a strong trend, where is it going to bounce? It would come back
382.
here, and then you would look potentially breaking this lower high and basically changing the character. Does that make sense? If the trend fails a little bit, right, and they crack this 50, then you could expect this range here to act as support. But would I expect them from here? I know it's a crazy market, but technically I don't expect them to run it from here to here. When they're breaking a level, they never go too far away from it because they want to accumulate somewhere in the near vicinity so they can break it, right? I don't expect them to go, here and then explode higher. Could they? They would trap a lot of people. They would have made a lot of lower lows on the micro level of this trend, right? Because if I was to switch to these candles, well, even these candles don't really have a lot of lows because they're all higher highs and higher lows on the candles. Every single one is a higher low. The first one that we had that put in a lower low was this candle, and look what happened. They put in a lower low. They trapped how many people here? A
Mhm.
lot. and then they pushed higher.
Yeah.
So if they come back to these levels, it might be good to consider, buying some calls because it seems like they're really aggressive.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I want to know from this move to here, I want to know the levels and retracements from it. But that's just using Fibs, guys. I'm not, the trading is more about confluence of things rather than, oh man, that candle was good because it was full moon. I'm going to go all out.
Yeah.
If you trade based on that logic, you're not going to be on this, trading journey for a long time. Does that make sense? You want to
Yeah.
find confluence, and hence I use Fibs. If this happens, I'm looking for 50 for a first entry. If that fails, you can close it, right? Most likely they're going to target this range, and you can find the level that's suitable for you based on, whether it's candles, right? The imbalances between them, or I could simply do what? Can I not grab this right here and look at the volume profile?
FVG, yeah.
And I mean, at 50%, I mean, I don't know if I like this volume node to be, structurally, I haven't seen a profile like this be really bad like this. It's really crappy for me. So if they, you see that they came here and they defended this gap because they know if they go lower, most likely they're visiting where? The weekly VPOC that's sitting at 41.75ish. This is I grabbed too many candles on top, but if I grab here, the POC should be shifting where? Right here on the bottom,
Bottom.
right? 41.75, and most likely they would retrace it, just like I told you guys on Thursday. Do you guys remember I said that they had a P shape? Do you guys recall that? I
Yep.
said they're most likely going to be targeting the top of it for the retracement. And P shapes get targeted a lot on the reversals. If you don't find quick buyers, remember I said this level can be quickly revisited. I don't know if you guys remember.
Yeah.
I said if they come back, they're going to hit this level. And they hit that level and then some, right? They proceeded to go much higher. But that's because you had weak sellers. Remember, price can be above, below, or within value.
Yeah.
We were still within a 2 sig here, and I said 2 sig gets reclaimed, you're going to rock it. And they went immediately back to the 2 sig on the opposite side. And that's the type of move you can get if the failure of the strong sellers, right? If the strong sellers are not there, that's exactly what happened, right? So relative for, this week in trading, here you only have this swing high and this swing low that you could use for levels, right? And that would correspond well with what we are talking about earlier because of the monthly framings around 44.30 or so, right? So if they're able to crack this level, then you might want to get out because they're most likely targeting what? That supply that we had on the top around 44.15 right here. That's the level that they're targeting, right? And you would not try to be somewhat hero. I would, if we were to get to this point here, I would not be interested in initiating any longs because most likely this is going to yield a comeback. It's going to yield a retracement, and that's where you could use some fibs to figure out where's that retracement to. Maybe it's from here. If we get there, then you could use this swing low to, let's say, here, and you would be, and that's pretty much what Elliott waves do. I don't know if you guys know Elliott waves, but people use Elliott waves with certain rules of Fibonacci's, right? And they draw their points and the levels they're targeting. So then if that happens, right, we could grab this move to this and know where's the 50% retracement would be somewhere in this bracket here, 44.30. And that would be a really healthy pullback because 44.30 was a previous month high. Therefore, we would expect buyers to defend that level. Maybe I said too much, too fast, but does that make sense?
Just so
Yes.
happens 44.30 is the PDPOC.
Say it again.
Just so happens that 44.30 is the PDPOC, 44.31 actually.
Well, I'm talking about bigger move, right? This would be bigger move is that they go to 4,500. Then we would take that move and look for a retracement. It would fall somewhere. The golden pocket falls at 44.30, which is the previous month's high, October's highs, right? And that's how you would formulate your confluence points, and you would trust yourself at that level. And if you doubt yourself for a moment, what happens?
You missed the trade.
Well, there's something called time, right? And
Yeah.
most people, it's called time, price, opportunity.
Yeah.
Opportunity at that price goes away. Just like this one here went away when people said that we're going to break lows. I would say most of us were bullish that we are going to bounce here. And if nobody knew 4140 level, maybe you weren't listening for 4 months, right? Any questions on Fibs? Like when to use them, when to draw them. You're looking for explosive moves, right? You're looking for, you know, if we are balancing, if you're balancing like this, right? You want to know for a trend, if it goes to here, well, I'm going to draw the Fibs, you know, from the bottom to the top, and I'd look for 38.2 on a trending, right? And the 50% in the bracket, and then, like I said, 61.8 is a really good golden rule in a pocket to look for a retracement here somewhere, right? If this comes back here, you know, there's people only trades for, you know, golden reversals, right? Retracements here, and if it pops here, they place a bet and they have the rules. Let's say it's 78.6. There's a fib called 78.6.
Mm-hmm. Yep, 78.6.
If you add a fib, so let's say this is our entry zone. Well, you could simply play a position, right? That's let's say we get in somewhere here, and you could play something like this, right? And you would have to find out the targets, of course, whether it's fibs or whatnot, but you could trace them out, right? If you use the fib based, I'm trying to do the same thing. Let's say something like this. Then you could target 127, right? And maybe that's too optimistic here because it's 7 to 1, right? Or you could just simply take the fibs from here to here and find 1272, which would probably be the most reasonable trade to take, because you're measuring this move here, the portion of this is AB, you're basically taking this portion here and you're projecting it. Longer picture of this would be much better to project, which would be 44.77. I'm just giving you a hypothetical example, right? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
What question? Free does not sound confident.
Well, I'm just kind of like, what's the difference between the extension and retracement and how and when you use them?
Okay, so let me explain. Retracements, look, retracements are only from 0 to 100. Okay, so let me put 0 and 1. So 0% and 100. If we have a move, the stock goes from here to here to here, and it's 100 is here. You use retracements because we can only retrace from 0 to 100. Can you retrace more than, if you're looking for retracements, it's that move alone. It's from starting point to ending point of that move. So that would look something like this. If we are moving, right, from the bottom, which would be 0, to the top here, so 100 and 0, and I'm looking from the bottom to the top, we can only retrace in here. Otherwise, everything else would be an extension of that move. If this is our 100%, this is 100% here, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
This is the move we are looking. If you're looking for a retracement, you're looking for a retracement within 100%. An extension would be a more than 100%. Same thing you have with IB, right? When we have intraday IB, the A and Bs, right? When you have A and Bs, we pay attention to the next set, right? As Cs, does it break, give you an extension range? Same thing with Fibs. You have between A and B is 100%. Retracements are only between 0 to 100. Okay, you following?
Yes.
If I want to know more than 100%, then I need to use extensions. I need to find the ratios of this move to the upside. And we said, you know, you could do it two ways. We know that this move here, let's say this move here is how many points? Let's say on what is it, 3 hours, this is 300 points, right? It's 312 points here, this move here. Does that make sense? Yeah, it does. Wow. That's crazy. So this move is 312 to 12 points. If I want to know more than 100%, then I can grab the fib extensions or fib retracements, but I have to enable it. If I want to know upside targets, in this case, I would draw from the top to the bottom, and 127% of this move would be where?
45.20.
45.20.
Say it again.
45.20.
That's correct. So that would be the retracement that you're looking for, right? So if you go here, where's my little arrow?
So you draw from the top to the bottom for that one?
Yeah,
To
that
find
one.
the extensions to the upside, I need
Yeah.
to find, I can do that, and this would be the 127, and the next one here would be,
It would give you the same numbers, but to the top.
so now if you take, you know, you could do a calculator, you take 312.75, multiply by 0.27, is gonna give you a number, and you would add that to this range, and you would most likely get this number. It's just math.
Yeah, but which
120
tool did you use to draw from the top to the bottom?
fib retracements,
The retracement. Okay.
but I
so then
added,
what-
you see that I added this 167 and 127.
Mhm.
If I take them off, of course, they won't be there, but I'm looking now for two targets above this 100% move. And this is where 127% of this move is, and 1618. If I do 200, what is that gonna show me?
Double.
It's just a double of this symmetry. So
So
if I
when would
go,
you use the extension if you could just draw for that in reverse?
say it again.
So when would you use the extension instead of the retracement if you could just draw from the top to the bottom? Why would you
Well,
need two tools?
That's a good question. So when I grab from top to the bottom, what am I looking for typically?
You're looking for
Downtrend.
where it's going to
Okay.
bounce to go higher.
From top to the bottom, I'm looking for what?
Downtrend.
Oh, continuation to the downside. Okay, where it's going to
That's-
reject.
That's correct. But if I'm looking for this level, for this symmetry to break, and I need upper targets, I would grab it from here to give me upper extensions. It's just the way the tools are working, right? If I was to grab from here to here, the extensions are going to be on the lower side. So it's just you know, I need to flip. If I want to know this move, where is it going to go to next? From this move symmetry, I need to use the high to the low, and you see them pointing out, you know, the 127 and 1618.
Okay.
So there's two
Okay.
scenarios. Let me make sure I write them out. Okay. For fib retracements, to find support, you grab low to high. Okay. If you believe does this make sense?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
do you add anything to the fib retracement?
What do you mean?
Do you add any
The
other
setting?
numbers? You check any other
Mm.
box?
I'm not sure I'm following, so explain.
When you're fibbing, you know, you have your fibs 312, 618. Do you add any other numbers to that,
No,
or you leave
no,
the same?
no, I'll leave it the same. No,
Okay.
I don't add any ratios, Fibonacci ratios. So
Okay.
typically I don't have, you know, zeros because I know where they are.
Yeah, obviously when you start.
Yeah, where you start and where you finish. I don't use, you know, any of these. I use 382 occasionally. I don't use the twos. This is all the fibs I have.
Yeah, but for some of us, we have. I just wanted to have more of a visual. You know.
You can definitely do that. I mean,
Yeah.
the problem that people have, and I'm not gonna call them out, is that they check so many fibs and then they say my fib level hit.
Yeah, I know. Of course, it's gonna hit if this to check every one of them.
Yeah, I mean,
The
you have
screen
so.
gets busy.
Yeah, I mean, you'll have a bunch of lines, but how do you play that?
Yeah.
I mean, you're gonna play every single fucking level. You're gonna go out long, short, long. I mean, that's impossible. You're gonna have commission fees that are through the roof. And second, I don't even know how you're gonna keep up.
Question,
So,
Shorty. On the
Mhm.
IBH and the IBL,
hmm
you could go from top to bottom and bottom to top to know know the top and the bottom.
that's correct, and we do that in this little
Is that
tool
what
that
the
we
orbs
have.
do?
And you
The
have
orbs do that as well.
and you'll have two golden pockets, one at the top, one at the bottom.
That's correct. If you do it top to bottom, bottom to
Yeah.
top, you'll have
Yeah.
61.8 on both sides, yeah, or 38.2.
Yep. Okay.
Yep.
Just checking.
Odds, I don't have the answer. I just tested it with GV. He's a member. I tested that level over, I think, 5 months, and it's been hitting pretty well. So I added it. I don't think 70.5 is a fib level, meaning a fib ratio, but it does work pretty well. My golden pocket was 68.2 to 61.8. So, and if you guys look here, so if you go on 5 minutes, for instance, right now, let me just switch
Yeah.
to something smaller
Yeah, that's
to
what
give
I
you
did.
guys an idea, right? If I wanted to look for a golden entry here, for me, it would be something like this. I would have grabbed low to high,
Mhm.
and there's a level that I used. You guys see it right here. It's called 68.2. I'm just gonna uncheck these so they're not lingering there.
Yep.
So for me personally, this is where things get spicy. Is between 68.2 and this level right here, 68.2. Why is the 68.2 important?
The golden ratio.
Well, that's my golden ratio, but the more I tested the 70.5, I had to give credit to GV. He introduced me to it, and it worked pretty well. It gives you, a point and maybe what 2.3% in between. So I used it because if I'm keep getting stopped out at this level and then it bounces off of this one, then I'm gonna be smarter and I'm gonna use that, right? Another trick that people use with trading is this here. Does anyone know how to use this?
Does the golden ratio have anything to do with that bell curve and the value area of 68%?
Not really, but 68.2, the level that I just added, does.
Okay.
This ratio I add there because of the first standard deviation and the bell curve.
Okay.
Yeah. Fibonacci, I'll post you guys a video if you're interested to watch it on how it's actually derived. So you guys can
That'd
see
be
it.
perfect.
Why do you guys, I added average true range. Do you guys know what this does? Anyone know? Anyone want to take a stab at explaining it?
So the expected daily movement of the stock, like the highs and the lows in a day.
It's the volatility and the movement, correct? If I look at this price here, so let's say, let me give you a scenario. At this point, as we're arriving here, right? Let's see. We are arriving here, let's say at the top, and this move is sitting at 366. Pay attention. I'm looking at the red line, and usually it will point, if you extend it, you see how it's giving you this little level, the red level right next to it. Yeah, odds. Have you ever used ATR for stop loss? Has anyone ever used ATR for stop loss?
Mm-mm.
No.
Okay. Well, you know those clouds that I have?
Yeah.
They're coded on that.
Mm.
There's a lot of logic before, because if it's a low volatility, do you need a wide stop loss?
No.
No. I don't want to give them money. If it's a pretty wide ATR, then I know that they're crazy a little, but they're a little volatile. I want to give them more so they don't stop me. Let me give you a scenario how you can use this. So if anyone's using Fibs solely, Josh, I don't know. Have you ever used this, Josh? I know Josh on the training here. He was, but I can't see people's names now. It cuts them off. Anyways, so if you guys look here, for instance, the ATR at this point, let me just drag this down. At the top here was, you see it at 378, correct?
Mhm.
The little red number here, as I find the top here is at 378, correct? So
Mhm.
what I would do is I would draw the fibs as you did from high to low. I'll do it again so you guys are following along. I know 378 is the level of ATR. Okay. If I do this and I grab it, so what you can do is we know that at the top it was 378, the volatility was there, right? So
Yeah.
what I do is I find this level and I add 3.78 to my stop loss. If 61.8 was my entry, 4367. Where's my calculator? Okay. 4367, I'm sorry, 775 plus 3.8 or minus 3.89. Where should I put my stop loss? Right here. So the chances of this breaking down on a day like this are low. 4368386. So I will find 436836. Let's let me make sure yep. So this would be based on true range. This would be a good stop loss. There's a high chance that they can flick you here and stop you within these fibs, but it would be really difficult for them to break this based on volatility. Does that make sense? That means the market would have changed the volatility. Something changed in the market for them to add more volatility here. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Is everybody following or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. This is a trick that I don't know how many people know or use, but it's a very good trick if you're going to use fibs. It's probably you should not trade fibs alone without the ATR. I would never do that. Me personally, I would not do it. Because if the volatility is super high, the odds of them cracking between these levels become really increased. And, you see them come in here. Typically, if you're not aware of this, what they do is you buy this 61.8, they dip here and then they rip. But if you use the ATR, for instance, and it's right here, they don't tap you, you're going to catch this move. Remember, the game is about, it's a zero-sum game. It's about you losing and your friend gaining, or vice versa, right? It's always sum zero. So if you're able to know the volatility here, and you subtract the number off that price level that you're playing and going long, it's probably not a bad idea to play with that. Does that make sense? It spits out a number here, and you're adding that to your stop loss, long or short, depending on what you're doing. Do I need to write this down in the class so you guys have it as a reference? In the PowerPoint?
Yes, please.
That would be great.
Okay. I'll give you
So
guys
Shorty,
an example on that so you guys can have it. Yeah, go Karthik.
sorry.
Oh, God
So
willing, sorry.
in this instance, you added the ADR. Actually,
ATR.
you
Yeah.
subtracted the ADR to the.
There's a difference
retracement.
between ADR and ATR, right? I think this is like average true range. ADR is something also different. T as in Tom.
Yeah.
There's ADX and ADR. People use that in different forms.
Okay.
Yep. Go ahead.
So in a downtrend, would you use the low of the ATR number or still the high?
I usually use the high on
Okay.
volatility. You want the high. Why do you want the high of it? True range? Because that's the
For
highest range
rejection.
that they can break. And I don't want to grab the low because then of course I'll be stopped because they can move that volatility up and down that much. You want to grab the high of it and subtract from your entry. Because if you
Okay, got it.
don't, then you're playing volatility against you instead of for you. If you grab the low end, you want to account for the volatility to be in your favor, not against you. Does that make sense?
Yep, it does.
Yeah. And most people, I don't know who knows this, but it's a really, really good trick for fibs. If you're a fib trader and you don't know this level, then you've done something wrong lately. And I mean that it's applicable on pretty much all the levels, right? And if you look here, ATR in this case is, you're looking at on daily, it's pretty high, right? It's somewhere at 58.97. The volatility is there. And I mean, we were at 40s. I believe we were even lower at some point. You look here, right before COVID came, everything was pretty cool, right? Very low. And then ADR went pumped. You guys see it to 180. So chances of you being stopped here is pretty high. Okay. So
Is ATR the same as RSI, or is that
Yeah.
calculated differently?
You have to make any
No.
changes to the inputs
It's totally
No.
different thing.
as
Okay.
far as the length?
RSI is relative
It just
strength
looks the same.
index. I believe RSI uses EMAs, right? Isn't it using EMAs or something?
Oh, yeah, we don't use that. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
RSI does the 70-30.
Yeah,
Above
but no.
70 is oversold. Under 30.
Yeah, we don't use that.
Yeah,
undersold.
it uses simple MAs and standard deviations, right? I personally don't use it, but you guys are welcome to use it.
So the ATR, just leave it like it is. Length 14, smooth and
Yeah.
RMA.
Yep.
Okay.
And if you're using Fibs, this will give you a little bit of more confidence because now you're accounting for the volatility of the day for your stop losses. If you don't, then it becomes a little bit harder. Okay. So I'll give you guys an example. I'll give 3-4 bullish, 3-4 bearish examples in a PowerPoint so you guys can actually see how it can benefit you.
Yeah,
Is it
that'd be great.
a magic ball of trading? No. There's no
No.
such thing, right? I mean, it just provides you more input on where you can expect the volatility and, at those levels, how do you adjust your stop losses? Because think
Yeah,
about it. Their goal is if they want to go higher is to do what? Well, is to grab the
Up the
liquidity
bar.
and hit your stop losses because they
Right.
want that, right?
Yeah.
And if you're below a level where they're coming to grab, then you might be able to catch their intention of a real move. Let's say in this case is up.
Mhm.
So that's why you do that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so you don't get faked out.
But yeah, so you basically get hidden based on the volatility. You're accounting for volatility. It's not going to tap you for a stop loss and then pop higher.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
And any questions on Fibs, ATR so far?
Oh.
Okay. For Monday, right? For opening, right? I'll be trading live with you guys. But did anyone take a look at the profiles and start assessing doing the prep?
Not yet.
Okay.
I started, but then I stopped.
I've already charted. Yeah.
Good. I mean, there's stuff happening that you can take a look at this and see what is really, really happening. I would say this, obviously it's a poor structure there. You have 3 sets of single prints, right? You have them here, and then you have some, poor structures at the top. We had some bad news come in. You have bad news come in really shortly after the market closed. Did you guys hear it? Or maybe you weren't paying attention.
No, I didn't.
No, what was it?
No, I didn't hear it.
The news
The
came
downgrade,
out.
right?
The Moody's downgraded U.S. debt, really like from good to bad. They're basically implying that U.S. government, their spending habits, as we have a few in the government, are getting a little worrisome for other, rating companies where it's like, okay, how are you going to pay off this debt? We've added $1 trillion in debt since the last debt ceiling. I mean, that is substantial amount of money that they're just printing. And if you guys want to test how bad this is, don't do your taxes this year and see what happens.
Oh Lord.
They're going to lock you up for missing a payment to IRS for $2K, but government spends $1 trillion of your money, our money, and there's no accountability. That's where Moody comes in and does a rating on what the hell are you guys doing? And I would say, right or wrong, 99% of Americans would agree that we are spending too much if you think about it as a country. We don't have money for Americans and citizens and what we, as a country, not being political, but shouldn't you build fucking better schools and bridges and infrastructure here before you go donate $200 million elsewhere?
I totally agree.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter if you're political. I mean, just think about your family.
Yep.
Wouldn't you want your kid, your nephew, niece to be in a better environment in school?
And everything rising
That's
higher
where
and higher.
Moody, is rating you as that. Like, how are you guys gonna pay this back? We don't see a plan how it's gonna work. When you start diluting a currency at such a fast pace, it doesn't take a lot to collapse it. And little history, right? When you're a world reserve currency like US dollar is, you need chaos. And when I say chaos, you haven't seen chaos yet that's needed to preserve it. Because US was basically, issuance of debt for other countries. If Nigeria wanted us to finance a building for them or infrastructure, roads, trains, they would buy some bonds, they would work with US government would issue debt, they would build it, and then let's say Nigeria has to send payments to US pretty much for the rest of their existence. Okay.
Yeah.
But what happens when these countries go to a different country and are like, would you like to finance us? What happens to the US dollar?
Drops.
Well, the US dollar is not seen
It's not right. It's valuable as it was.
As it was, because there's a different player coming in to help finance. And if you guys just Google a little bit, and I can send you some articles, Russia, China, they've been financing a lot of companies' work or debt. They've been servicing that. And it's important for US to stay in that. And what a better way to do it than kill other currencies? And sometimes to kill other currencies, you need to create a lot of turbulence and chaos for other people.
I could only imagine what's coming.
And you're dealing with powerful people with powerful country. US is a very powerful country. No, you can't deny that. But they will crush whatever is in the way to make sure the US stays in control of the currency system in the world. There's something called petrodollar. I don't know if you guys know or not, but that's a dollar used for settling on oil exchange.
Yeah, you were explaining some of it at one point.
And that was challenged by people that no longer live on this earth. They're gone. They brought up the idea.
Buy oil with dollars.
Yeah, and if they wanted to settle the oil exchange in something non-US dollar or petrodollar, then those people are bad and they're gone. So I'm not saying conspiracy, but you just have to follow the money. Anytime something happens, just follow the money. Money is usually where it leads to, and you'll be able to figure it out. And media is gonna show you what you want to see.
Can anybody say Clinton?
If you believe journalism and news you're getting are the same as they were 50 years ago, well, I have good news and bad news for you. And I'm also at fault. You have to do some research yourself nowadays because social media took over, right? Social media runs, and I mean, I always ask myself. They say this happened. You Google it, and there's one news report, and you don't see any actual people recording that event or whatever happened. Me personally, I don't trust them anymore. AI can now create a video out of blue and say this happened, and it can. I don't know if you guys remember, 4 months ago, there was a glitch when somebody reported some news. The market dropped like 200 points within 10 seconds and reversed it instantly. I don't know if you guys remember that. It was like 4 months back. In a split second, they dropped 200 points, and they said it was fake news. And it was like, whoa, you just wiped off couple of $1 trillion of the stock market with fake news and the systems dropped, and then you reversed it. I mean, that's a huge that's a huge drop in terms of financial markets, right? I mean, think about how they can manipulate that, right? So when I say I take my profits, right, when SPY puts it 50%, Shorty is great with 50%. Does Shorty 1000%? Of course, but I'll do 20 times 50 instead of 1 times
Yeah.
1000 to add it up to it.
Yeah.
And a lot of you guys that, if you're new to the Discord, it really becomes down the game of, I say throw it to the pile.
Yeah.
If I make money, I just throw it on a pile and that pile grows. If I think that pile is gonna go from 1 golden nugget to 1 million golden nuggets in one trade, then you have really wrong expectations and you're gonna have a hard time trading. A lot of people that post their profits and gains on single plays, Roblox 5,000%, they most likely lose it the next day.
Yeah.
Okay. So in terms of trading, mentally, you have to know why you're doing it. You have to know whether you're doing it to better your life, or is it a gambling fallacy that you're in where, you just like trading and you don't mind giving money to the others. And, there's a lot of people that do that. They just, they throw away their accounts and they don't take care of it.
I hate that shit.
Well, for a lot of people, it's really about, when you're trading, limit your losses.
Yeah.
If you're over
Limit the
trading,
trades.
limit the number of trades you're doing, right?
That's it. The number of trades.
A lot of you guys don't want to be a self-critic, but you have to be. When a day ends, you got to ask yourselves, did I do everything I was supposed to do as a professional trader?
Yep.
And if the answer is a little bit of a no, then you got a little bit of self-reflecting to do in terms of what could I have done better? And the only way you will know that is if you know what the hell you did wrong. How will you know what you did wrong? Is if you have some kind of documentation. I
Got
did
it already
this
done.
and I did that. I could have done better here. Those are the things that most of you guys will benefit from. I know people on this call right now that wanted to quit trading and now, they're withdrawing money regularly on a monthly basis. And there's not a better feeling, I promise you, than once every week. And to me, it's just a habit. Every week, Friday, you hit that withdraw button, and then Monday, Tuesday, depending on your bank, it hits your account. It's like a payday for the stuff you do. You have to experience that feeling. Until you experience that feeling, you will not know the value of trading. You will not understand it. Even if it's $10, like I made $10, take it back and go fucking buy yourself an ice cream, and you'll know I bought myself ice cream with trading.
Yeah.
And a lot of you guys are like, yeah, I doubled my account from, let's say 500 to 1,000, and then you lose it. So what did you do? You did nothing.
Nothing.
Take $200, go take your family, take your kids, wife, go take them out for ice cream dinner. Do something with that to start creating that good effect on how you're trading and how it's changing lives around you. Because a lot of you guys are, I say hidden traders. If you talk to your loved ones and you told them that you're up $700-800, and then you triple down, you wanted to make $3,000, your wife or your husband will slap you. Like, because people value different money differently than most traders do. Because you're so like in a contract, you don't perceive the cash value. You're up 500 and you want 1,000, and then what happens? You lose that 500 because you wanted more. Because
Yep.
you're a greedy pig. But you put that $500, like I'm telling you, even my wife, I mean, when we went to casinos, like I'll be down $2,000 and she's like, I'm up 100, I'm leaving. And I'm like, where are you going? We just got here. She's like, I'm gonna go buy shoes. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, you go ahead. And what do? I stay and gamble till 4 o'clock in the morning, and I visit ATM 7 times in between. But that's, and also in trading, you have to have that discipline of paying yourself. And if you don't establish that sooner than later, you're always going to be just redepositing into your account, not really withdrawing. The goal is to withdraw, not to deposit. And I think a lot of you guys really need to have daily, like a little bit of, reflection. Odds that won't be a good amount. That's just a question I can't answer, right? For me, what's a good amount is going to be different what's for you, right? If my account's $1 million and I'm up 3%, I'm going to take that 3%, right? For you, if your account's 1,000 and you make, 10%, that's $100, right? If you had started with 500 and you're at 1,300, why not reset every week from 500?
Yep.
And I know people on this call right now, I'm not going to name them. They still send me the logs that do this. They withdrew a couple of $1,000s and they recovered all their losses, whether it's previous Discord or whatnot, not the reasoning behind it, but they recovered it all and they're paying themselves. And has anyone experienced that on this call?
I have when I first had the small account.
The first time withdrawal I did yesterday, I guess, that still hasn't hit the account, but I'm sure when it does, I'm gonna take kids out for an ice cream for sure.
I'm working on. I'm
Oh,
working.
that's awesome.
I'm working on a payout now.
Yeah, there you go. I think he just dropped somebody that there's, I don't see him here on the live. He was there, and I mean, I can even share, the messages that me and him exchange. And it's amazing for him to see that, he has still the cycles where he wants greediness, and then I have to reset him. Right? I pretty much, you guys know that I'm pretty brutal when it comes to choice of words when I have your 101s, if I hear you're fucking up constantly.
Yep.
So, and I give it to him, right? And he resets again from 500 because he increased his account almost 10 times. So for me, it's okay. Well, now it's a different level of problem. When you have too much money, it's also a problem. Believe it or not, it's a problem. It's a good problem, but it's a problem.
Yep.
Because remember that guy that's called IRS? They also want a chunk of it, right?
Yep.
You have different problems, but it's better to be with the problem of money than problem with no money, in my opinion. So here's a withdrawal. Look at this. I posted in the main chat. I don't want to do, but here's the withdrawals that I get every week from this person now. And just pay attention to the message I'm posting here on the main chat. I'm gonna do one more and that's it. Read the bottom of that message, what it says.
Client requests electronic funding
He's
disbursement
going
of funds now.
He's going to start with 1K again.
It's gonna start with 1K again. And we do the same game with him over and over. He was at 500. I did not allow him. We consulted each other and I said, maybe you're ready to increase your account to 1K from 500. He used to do 500 to 4K, withdraw 3,500. Then now he's at 1K and he withdraws a little bit larger amounts monthly. But this is your goal, guys. Your goal is to be a profitable trader. It doesn't matter the amount right now.
That's my goal, man.
If your goal is to make $100, that's a wrong goal to have. Your goal is to be a profitable trader, whether it's $1 that you withdraw or 10 at first. I promise it does not fucking matter.
Yeah.
Later on, once your account is constantly, remember, throwing it on a pile and your account goes from a base of 500 to 10,000 resets, that means you're making a lot more money. If you start with 10K and you do the same processes, well, your withdrawal is going to be like 30, 40, then instead of 1,000 to 6, right? That would be 50K profits. It's the process that's going to get you there and the habits of constantly repeating the shit in the market. Do we need to adapt? Of course, I adapt. I changed my fucking fib level after 15 years. Like I've used 68.2 forever. And I tested and I'm like, okay, well, this guy has a point. I'm changing it. For me personally, the way I work, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
I don't just change shit because this guy on Twitter said that 70.5 is good. I have to see it for myself. I trust you, but I verify. Right? And same with you guys. You get the knowledge, trust, but verify. And there's no better trust in your life, personal life, that your kids tell you something. If you don't have kids, they're gonna always tell you shit. They come back from school and I'm like, how was school? This and that. Well, I check, right? Nowadays there's apps where teachers give feedback or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, you have anything else to say? What about like something that happened here, right? I trust him, but I'll verify and I'll probe the questions. Same with your knowledge and curiosity here. It's important to be curious, to learn, trust, and verify on the charts. Let the charts verify for you. And a lot of you guys, I think once you start the habit, even if it's $10 of withdrawal over a week, I promise you, you're going to be hungry to be more profitable and you're going to stick to the rules and definitions of your guidelines of how to trade.
I agree.
So start that. If you haven't, look into it where it doesn't even matter if it's $5, man. Just withdraw it and go fucking buy a piece of gum since inflation's high and chew that gum till it falls apart. But it's the gum you bought with your job.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's good stuff there, Shorty.
And the mentality has to be the same every day for you guys. There's no days off. And, when you're trading, a mentality, because think about it. Who's your boss in trading?
We are.
Man, there's no boss above you. It's the only job where, and I had actually a discussion last night with a guy that was here. He said you always work for somebody. I said no, that's not true. And of course, he gave me 30-minute spiel of organizational hierarchies in a company. So I said I don't work for anyone.
Yep.
And he's like, what do you mean? I was like, I just go on the fucking computer. I look at the charts. I look at the setups. I work for myself.
Yep.
It doesn't matter if it's an LLC of an individual, but I don't have to be like, besides my two-year-old ninja, I don't have to respond to anyone while I'm trading.
And you can be done in 30 minutes, 15 minutes.
And you can go on with your day, and I don't have to answer a single question to anyone. Why'd you do? Man, fuck off.
The
Like,
only
I'm
one we
really-
got to answer to is IRS if we start making a lot of money.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
That's it.